Thanks for coming out. As you all know, the vote that was supposed to happen today was moved to tomorrow, but in lieu of keeping a schedule, I decided to stay with today's 8 a.m. Commitment to all of you and to the American people. Here's where we are. We are due to go for round 3 of expulsion of Congressman George Santos from NY3. I think we can all look back and say, this is not how at least I thought this year would go. I don't think this is how most of people in the media would think this year would go. And it's just an unfortunate circumstance that I have to sit here and watch American people waste, Congress waste the American people's time over and over again on something that is the power of the people, not the power of Congress, which is to remove and elect and remove members of Congress. Obviously, some want to cling to some circumstances and to allegations, but there's been a long-standing precedent in the House that every single member that's ever been expelled, and they are trying to join me to the group of 3 Confederates and 2 people convicted in a court of law. So if I am to get expelled tomorrow, I will be number 6 in the history, the first Republican and the only one without a conviction or without being part of or without having committed treason. So that's kind of where we stand today on that sense. But let me go down a few things here to give you a sense of Congress today and what it represents for the American people. It represents chaos. Chaos because we have a House that doesn't work for the people. We have a House where we have members with severe allegations against them having the gall and the courage to call the Speaker a joke. I read that today in Political. It was on the cover of Political where, we're reading about members of Congress trying to smear one of the most honorable members of our conference in the Republican Party. So that's just where we've stooped down to. People with rap sheets who think and feel emboldened enough to go call out other people for their policy. Secondly, it's amazing to me that this House continues to want to push me out. Meanwhile, we have Secretary Mayorkas, who's committed absolute dereliction of his duty, has put all Americans in danger. If you saw last night, the Rockefeller Center Christmas tree lighting, which is something that for years has been one of the most beautiful celebrations in New York City, most peaceful, crowded, yes, but yesterday we had a band of vandals who thought it was appropriate to fight the NYPD. This is what took place just yesterday. And that's on Secretary Mayorkas, because a lot of these people, they're not here because they love this country. They're not here because they want the best for this country. Why are they here? It's starting from inside. And that's what you get when you have open borders and an administration that is oblivious to the real issue that's taking place. And then lastly, let's talk about consistency. We have a member of Congress that earlier this year took a plea deal to obstructing a congressional hearing. That's not the plea deal he took, right? I'm kidding. He took a plea deal for pulling a fire alarm which obstructed and delayed an official hearing and proceeding on the House floor. Now, had that been any other person, had it been one of the members of the media, had it been a Republican member of Congress, we all know that person would have been charged with obstructing a congressional hearing. Just like the somewhat 140 people sitting in prison right now because of January 6th. But Jamal Bowman gets a pass. That's why today at noon, I'm going to be introducing a privilege motion for expulsion of convicted and guilty pleaded Congressman Jamal Bowman. And I stand there. I think that's consistency. Let's hold our own accountable, but let's make sure that we do it with the precedent of the House. Now, if the House wants to start different precedent and expel me, that is going to be the undoing of a lot of members of this body, because this will haunt them in the future, where mere allegations are sufficient to have members removed from office when duly elected by their people in their respective states and districts. So bearing that in mind, I'm going to make this a very brief and a comment on the process here that's taken place with the Ethics Committee. By admission of the chairman himself, he said that the process was not full throttle and not complete because it would require many more months in order for the committee to offer any kind of punishment. So instead, they decided to stop short of completing the process, going ahead and putting out a slanderous report, unprecedented. Nobody here's ever seen ethics reports of any other members who's been under investigation. But yet again, changing precedent for me, it seems that it's all fair game. So there we go. They go ahead and release this report littered in hyperbole, littered in opinion that would have no decent cop would bring this to a prosecutor or a DA and say, here's our report, go ahead and charge him. Right? So this is what the ethics committee put out. God bless them and what they think they're doing and what their work is. You know, I believe they do good work when it's relevant, but this ain't it. So with that, I'm going to make this a very brief opportunity for a couple of questions in an orderly fashion without screaming at me. We'll go by hands.
Mr. Santos.
Go ahead.
Why didn't you participate in the ethics committee's investigation? They said that you were not cooperating with them. Do you think this is
I cooperated. I provided them every single document, for the most part, that they went off of came from my counsel.
Mr. Santos. Mr. Santos.
Go ahead.
You said that this is a distraction for the institution. I know you've been getting this question a lot, but if it's really truly a distraction for the institution, why not just resign?
Because if I leave, they win. If I leave, the bullies take place. This is bullying. The chair of the committee putting out a motion to expel, just introducing it and not calling it privilege, was designed to force me to resign. But he didn't even have the fortitude to go ahead and call the privilege. He had someone else do it, someone who's actually just recently done one on me, which is Congressman D'Esposito. So the reality of it is it's all theater. It's theater for the cameras. It's theater for the microphones. It's theater for the American people at the expense of the American people because no real work's getting done.